and I think it's still a pretty big threat, especially against the supports that you have in Newbee. If they're not careful, if the Morphling does grow big, if Monet manages to get his farm quite nicely, he can and will burst a lot of people down quite fast, so you will have to watch out. There's no direct counter as well from Newbee to take care of this Morph. Doom is on RNG's side, so it should have a fairly free time here. It should be able to go around quite well. No instant lockdowns that you'd want. Nothing like a Shadow Shaman, a Lion to really just keep him hexed up and kept in place safely. So it's a bit of an issue as to how you're going to keep this Morphling on the ground when you do catch him out.
Certainly so. Have two heroes that essentially steal spells. It's just going to be funny to watch. See how much that affects Newbee. But of course, I guess they've just got to really be mindful of what they're using up against that Rubik, and even then, Morphling just morphs into that hero and suddenly has the same. So essentially, you could have two of the same ability being thrown at you at the same time if you're on the side of Newbee. Pretty hilarious. See if that does happen. Newbee, they do go for the Darkseer, however. A hero that has been popping in and out of this current meta. Has had mixed results, however, and I don't know how great it's going to be. Generally speaking, you do tend to put the Darkseer in the off lane, but if the Morphling's going to be in the safe lane, like sure, it's not going to be great because he's probably going to have to last hit under his tier 1 tower, yeah, because the Darkseer's probably going to start creep skipping with the Iron Shell, but I don't know, like, do you think this is a good pickup, or is it kind of worthless, or?
I see some potency here. Depends on how they run their lanes for Newbee. If you're going to run the Darkseer and Tusk combination, it might be quite painful, actually. Just imagine that tag team going Iron Shell on both heroes and the right clicks going off. It's going to be a lot of damage early on. But again, it depends on how Newbee runs their lanes. I can see some potency as well with Juggernaut and Darkseer running together. Spinning with that Iron Shell is going to be, it's quite painful. I'm just not sure if that's how they're going to lane it. It's more likely we're going to see Darkseer with Tusk, maybe Darkseer and Grimstroke, Iron Shell, and, when you speed yourself up to run in with that Inkswell, it's going to be painful as well. So I do like the combinations coming out from Newbee's draft with the Darkseer, but it's only really going to win them that laning phase. If they win hard enough, of course, it's going to be harder for a Morphling to play catch-up compared to a Juggernaut, let's say. But again, it remains to be seen how a Newbee runs it. A lot of potential here. It's just that, can they keep the Morphling down long enough that it's going to be a non-issue in the mid-game? Or will the impact of this Darkseer +1 just not be strong enough?
Wait and see. Newbee, final pick for them, or final ban, excuse me. 3 seconds left on that reserve time. And that's the thing, right? Like, you're talking about the draft and you're telling me about all this potency with the combinations that they have, but the doubt we have after watching game number 1 is just, are they going to follow that aggressive strategy, or are they going to kind of back off halfway? I suppose if they do back off halfway and give RNG that space they need to farm up on that Morphling, and it could just be too much for Newbee to handle again. Nevertheless, only time will tell, and they get rid of the Timbersaw themselves this time around. Is, I suppose, fair enough. Like, they don't have the most amazing ways to deal with it. So there is quite a doubt that RNG would have picked it up themselves, I feel.
Yeah, I don't think it would have really fit into RNG's draft unless they were going to run a Timbersaw mid. Or maybe a Morphling mid, but I don't really think that's an option here. I feel like with the last pick for RNG, we're probably going to see something surprising. The Kunkka does come out for a Newbee, so really strong team fight from them. Really good wombo combo with that Darkseer to set up. I think if you can land all your spells proper, I would be scared of going up against Newbee in a 5v5. At the same time, there's a lot of good spells for Rubik to steal now, and a lot of really good utility spells for Morphling to steal as well. And I'm a bit worried for Newbee, as they've really gotten all these heroes with amazing spells to steal. And RNG just, I mean, they have the Rubik Morphling mic. They can steal any of these spells quite fine.
It's going to be a fun match, I'll tell you that, John. They do actually pick up the Dazzle for themselves. Is this a core Dazzle? Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Setsu's on the Dazzle. Okay, this is gonna be a fun match to watch. You have Setsu Dazzle, you have Afu Rubik. I'm I'm kind of excited to see how this unfolds. I'll be quite frank, I'm not so confident with Dazzle Core, but RNG is a team that could probably pull it off, especially after watching that Core Rubik in the last game. So I'm keen to see how this unfolds, Mike.
First of all, that's very polite wording from you. You hate seeing core dazzle. You've told me many times it will never work. And and secondly, we did doubt Setsu's core Rubik,
Yeah,
and we were completely wrong on that one. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I obviously loved seeing it, but I would love to see this core dazzle work out because between you and
Oh
me
yeah.
and the rest of the people watching, we haven't seen many core dazzles work while we've been casting, which is very upsetting. Nevertheless, Newbee
Yeah.
are playing for their tournament lives, John. There's a lot riding for them right now, and again, they really would want to just force this out to a game number 3, and you can tell, like, their draft just does seem better overall.
Yeah, it's much more holistic, I have to say. It covers each other's uh, shortcomings quite well. I think all of these heroes synergize quite well with each other, and it's very straightforward. Honestly, it's almost like caveman straightforward. You're just gonna bash your heads against a wall until some blood is stuck there, and then they're gonna be satisfied. I think that's the game plan for the most part for an UB. I mean, it's definitely ball to the wall. You have Darkseer, you have a Tusk, you have a Juggernaut, you have a Grimstroke. It's just early aggression coming out for Newbie here. Whereas for RNG, it's a bit more patience. I think they're gonna want their Morphling to get some farm going first. They are expending a lot of their Chinese newer ornaments, Mike.
Yeah, this is not a great strategy from them. The game hasn't even started, John, but the ornaments have been pretty much used up. Mad and Monet really on a mission here to fill up this lane full of piglets. This could be something... Does any of this represent good luck? You know, is this something that like they're trying to get some good luck going in this lane? Is that what it is?
I mean, I don't think the pig is necessarily a sign of good luck. It's just the year of the pig right now.
Oh, is it?
If they were spamming the dragon, that would be more of luck. Yeah, the dancing lion would be more of luck. I suppose. The pigs themselves, not really, Mike. It's just something fun. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm not Chinese, Mike. Why are you asking me?
No reason, John. I was just asking a question. Nothing to do with race. Damn it. Anyway, looks like Newbee, we're getting slightly aggressive down at that bot jungle. They will be okay. They're just going to go for that bounty rune snag. And, well, while they were dropping those pigs, John, they weren't ready for the bounty, or will they? JT will manage to grab it and back off safely. However, there is a bit of a race at that top rune, and it will be actually a 3-for-1. Mugi was able to swipe the bounty rune from under Flyby's nose. And nice little start from the side of Newbee. Afu, see Faith at that bot jungle again. I'm going to say hello. Faith not really going to say hello back. He will just walk out. Yeah, Core Dazzle versus SCCC on that Core Kunkka. I mean, I can't say this is something we don't see enough, but Core Dazzle against the Kunkka, tell me about it. How does this work, this lane matchup?
I don't know, Mike. I wish I could tell you, but this is just it's really not something we've seen too much. I think early on, the Dazzle should have a slight edge. He can control the waves much better than Shadow Wave, and he can definitely harass the Kunkka a bit more with Poison Touch compared to that level 1 Tidebringer. But as the levels goes on, I feel like SCCC's damage output is going to be greater than Setsu's. He really needs to win these first 3 levels quite well.
Top lane Flyby will get caught out. A nice rotation by Faith and YG. They will manage to find Flyby. In fact, Mugi does end up getting the kill confirm as well. Meanwhile, bot lane, JT's having a bit of a difficult time right now. He's gotten 2 creep waves, mind you. But he's trying to make... In fact, I say difficult time, but it looks like this is all on purpose. He's just doing perfectly fine. His creeps are getting somewhat denied, though. But he is making a bit of havoc in this lane. And it looks like Monet has actually pulled the creep wave over to the neutral camp to make sure he doesn't have to tank that damage. And JT just continually juking around this support duo of RNG, and there just seems like there's nothing they can really do about it apart from try and right-click this man. They will continue chasing him down.
I'm not sure about this time wasted for JT. He's done a lot against the support. Sure, he's starved them of EXP, but he's also starved himself of EXP, Mike. And if you look at Monet right now, When he's level 3 in a solo lane,
Well,
16 to 6 in last hits.
I'm currently looking at Setsu, who's being chased down, but yeah, I mean, Monet sitting very pretty. More than happy. He's getting creep waves and neutral camps thanks to the pool of JT, so he's actually working against himself right now. Mid lane, still a bit of havoc going on there. YG sticking around. SCCC falling relatively low, but he is quite close to picking up that bottle if he so chooses before the bracer. Looks like Setsu will also be perfectly fine. In fact, Setsu does have a double null talisman going for him already as well. And he does actually go for the bottle on SCCC, which is fair enough. Like, otherwise he's just going to have to go back to base. So, a lot of damage coming out from Setsu. And this lane...
Again, it's those first 3 levels that really matter here. That's when I think Dazzle is a bit stronger than the Kunkka. Kunkka takes a bit more. He'd probably want level 3 Tidebringer to really match that damage output coming out. Otherwise, right now, it's just a bit of a slog. Really, you're copying a bit too much from Poison Touch. Dazzle can just nuke you down with his Shadow Wave as well. So it's a bit hard to keep up for SCCC.
Oh, SCCC moving forward. Setsu, woo, almost ends up dying. He fairy fires up. Understands how close he was to death. Oh, Torrent. I thought I saw the animation, but it looks like he may have just cancelled it off. With that, both heroes just sitting in front of each other with barely any HP. Setsu, nice dodge on that Torrent. Just waiting for his chance to go for another Poison Touch, and SCCC understanding he can't really find the kill here with the Tidebringer. Not really using it, and meanwhile, the Tusk ends up going down, and so does Mad at the top lane. Oogie does manage to find a trade for YG, but Mad does end up getting that kill.
Yeah, nice clean pick off. This top lane so far, I think it's been working out either way. I mean, the Juggernaut's definitely getting what he wants here. Flyby has been forced into the jungle, but as a Doom, you shouldn't be too unhappy about that. And Monet gets a nice kill on JT.
Yeah. I mean, he was doing the same thing where he was kind of just running around trying to creep skip, but this time around they were just ready for him. Arfu committed the lift, Fade Bolt as well, and Monet was just dishing out the damage. He has got a lot of agi morphed over, and he's hitting for 104 per right click. It's like YG did disconnect and reconnects immediately. And we'll be back into it. A 2 for 2 for the moment at 4.5 minutes into this game.
Yeah, it's still anyone's game so far. I don't think either side's really shafted in as much as it was last game. It's definitely a much better start for Monet. He already has his Morbid Mask up, whereas Mugi on this jug, still, he has his face boots, but nothing really huge just yet. Fairly free lane though. Again, it's pretty nice when you do get free lane like this. Doom just can't really contest with the amount of pressure they're putting there, I guess, with support presence up top. So he is relegated to that jungle, just farming up as, you know, with as much as he can with his Devour. And it's just fairly even all around, I think.
Mid lane is to be where most of the action is right now, as CCC does manage to dodge the stomp, though Arfu is coming in. He gets blocked off though, so he can't actually get the lift off in time, and the X will get the job done for Setsu, though the shards actually block them in as well. A nice shards there from the Tusk to try and save SCCC, but won't be quite successful. Nevertheless, they do get the 2 supports, or I should say 1 support, 1 core on the side of RNG.
Yeah, nice clean pick off on the core. They're both of them TPing back around the same time though. And it looks like neither side is really ready to give this mid lane up. Still gonna see if Mex can stand off for a bit longer here, Mike.
Poison Touch again. Coming out though, he's moved a bit too far. YG was still there with Faith, and Setsu in big trouble. He has the heal available, he will have to commit it because the snowball was coming in. Shards actually misses, but they will get the kill regardless. Faith will give his life for that one. Now Arfu comes in. It should be a fairly easy kill because there's no snowball available. He does stick charge up, but it will not be enough. Still though, it's 2 supports for the sake of a core Dazzle. You still feel like Newbee is probably okay with that?
Yeah, definitely so. I think it's a decent enough trade to give away. You aren't losing out on too much. Newbee does have a slight net worth lead at this point, and they've really put so much pressure down mid that, you know, the side lanes are kind of hit just a bit in terms of what the supports are really putting their time into. They've bought a lot of space from Mugi this game, I have to say. He is going to forward at Yasha first, so hopefully this means he will be a bit more active in that early to mid game as we approach the 10-minute mark, Mike.
Mugi starting to do chip damage on that tier 1. In fact, I say chip damage, but he's got the siege creep there as well, so it looks like he is just going to claim it. No deny attempt will be there from the side of RNG. Slowly but surely, Newbee appear to be just pulling ahead. So, bot lane, they do end up again finding JT on that Darkseer. Arfu was there with Monet again, dealing damage with those right clicks, and JT, he's certainly not having the greatest of games on that Darkseer.
Yeah, definitely not. He is really quite a fair bit behind. Only just got his brown boots, still level 4, not quite level 5 yet. And he's been having a rough time in that off lane, which is understandable, I think, considering what he's been facing off against. Yeah, I think his ideal situation was to kind of be with the Jug at some point, and again having that Iron Shell and Blade Fear up and running, but you know, you can't have the two cores running together that early on.
Snowball is there, as well as the Omni Slash onto Mad, and they'll find a nice pickup onto that Elder Titan. Looks like they will start making a push in through that mid lane. Oh, Mugi, he seems to have spotted out Setsu, though they won't quite catch him. The lift was there from Arfu just in case, but that probably won't save the tier 1 tower, which is going down right now. It is a slow process, but it's getting done. Inkswell is there onto YG. They're making a chase onto Arfu, and they will get the stun off. Now Snowball as well, and that'll confirm the kill from YG. Arfu ends up losing his life. And again, they just returned to that tier 1 mid tower. They really want to try and get this map control going on their side of things. Though that bot tier 1 is also being pushed in by Renee on that Morphling. They do send in Faith to try and defend that tier 1, but it looks like it won't really be that successful because the creeps don't end up moving or taking aggro, and tier 1 goes down at that bot lane.
Yeah, it's starting to look like the same story as the last game. Newbee definitely has that good aggression in that early to mid game, but Monet is just still farming like a madman. He's above and beyond what Mugi is right now. Although this time around, it does look like Mugi is keen on playing with this team, so we'll see if that pays off as time goes on. Right now, it just looks like Monet is very happy with how this game's going. He's been left alone. He's going to try to farm up to a fast Manta style, and we'll see how it goes from there, Mike. But right now, it does look like a bit of a repeat in terms of habits from game 1.
Oh, Flyby getting jumped on, but he gets the Doom off onto JT again, and Arfu's there with the lift, though Boat is coming in. Flyby, he wasn't X'd up throughout all that, so he just walks out of there, and Arfu as well does get X'd up, but he literally just walks out as well. Nice Stomp comes out. They have found YG, but they won't risk it. And that was very unfortunate for the side of Newbee, but unfortunately, it seems like they were in a bit of a panic, and I thought they would have found Flyby at the very least, because we saw that Tusk Darkseer combo coming into play with those Shards, Snowball, and the Iron Shell. Only problem was apparently Flyby had 2 Devour stacks at the time and didn't really care.
Yeah, we know how ridiculous that regen can be once you stack up a couple of them. I mean, that's 36 HP per second for quite a long time. It's really hard to burst him through that, and Flyby is just fine. He did have to expend his first Doom, and that is Doom gone, but I think that's very much worthwhile for how much you wasted from Newbee.
Now they push the tier 1 mid tower in again. Monet feeling confident enough to pretty much do it by himself at the moment. Again, they will jump on the Flyby. This time the X is there, and they will silence him up. It should be a kill onto the Doom, and it will be. Faith will claim that one for himself on the support Grimstroke, but they lose the mid tier 1 tower for that. And I gotta say, John, I'm not really sure if that was well worth it for Newbee.
They do manage to take tier 1 down bot in exchange, so I guess that's a tower for a tower, but Newbee does come slightly on top with 1 hero pickoff. Although again, that is the mid-tier tower, mid-tier 1 tower that they give away, which is really big for map control. You do lose out on a significant part of your jungle in terms of rotation. The Roshan is just a bit harder to contest now. That is a slight map advantage for RNG. And it does look like Newbee will be going for that Battle Fury now on the Jug, so looks like he might get some farm going at some point in the game. I think if he will, the Battle Fury is definitely going to be the item he has to pick up. We'll see if it can face off against Monet's Morphling fairly soon. I mean, Monet is still pretty much on top, pretty much tied up with Jug.
Oak will be out from Newbee. So they are going to try and continue this aggression that they've been putting out. They are going to go for Flyby again on that Doom. Should be a fairly simple pickup. He only has one Devour stack right now. The boat will be there into the X and Flyby, copying a lot of damage and just gets bursted down. This time JT picks up the kill. Again though, if we point out the main concern right now, it is the fact that Monet hasn't really died. Has almost got a Manta up for himself. He used to free farm. In fact, he's top of the net worth board. Like, Mugi is fairly close, but if you've got a good Morphling player, that just could be way too hard to deal with later on.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit obnoxious to deal against a Morphling who does get his early items up fast. I mean, even just that Manta style up at, let's say, 15 to 18 minutes in, it's fairly annoying to deal with. That's a good amount of stats going to Wave Morph. He does enjoy those quite a fair bit, and he can deal a lot of damage early on, so you will really have to be careful if you're Newbee giving Monet this much space again. As we saw in Game 1, when you give Monet this much space, he can make it work.
On the brighter side of things though for Newbee, John, Setsu hasn't really farmed as well as he would have liked on this Dazzle. Does now have the Necromonicon 1 book, but it's not really amazing for the almost 14-minute mark. Looks like mid lane there may be an engagement though. Monet does end up stealing the Morphling form. Morphin, Healing Ward does go down early on into this team fight, and Newbee not interested in trying to take that team fight. They do back off the safety. They'll come back another time for that tier 1 mid tower. So there is a smoke up at top lane, and they are actually maybe going to wrap around here. The line was drawn out, but Newbee rather go up top, perhaps trying to find Flyby again. Flyby is with his team, and they're going to go for a quick sneaky Roshan. Understand that the smoke has been popped by the side of Newbee. So it is pinged out, and Faith appears to know what's going on here. He does scout it out as well with the Stroke of Fate. RNG are no longer interested in taking this engagement with Roshan. They leave it at half HP. And now it's just a question of whether Newbee will try and go and swipe it while it's at half.
It is possible. I don't think they're quite in the position they'd want to do that. Mugi is nowhere nearby, so it's going to be a hard take for that Rosh.
Does appear Mugi is going to be rushing into that Battle Fury now after picking up that Yasha. Afu. There's still the Healing Ward, but that'll be it. Most bounty runes being taken by Newbee at the 15-minute mark, so again, that net worth increasing slightly for their side of things. Like Setsu may have given up on going for the Necro 3 book. He's actually queued up a mechanism. Looks like he's going into the Guardian Greaves straight away. Like, do you think that's the right choice actually? Because it was like leaving the book at level 1 is... it doesn't really feel as impactful.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. I feel like if you're going to go for the Necro books, you might as well rush it. Especially since you're playing off maximizing bad GG in that case for the, for the cooldown and having those Necros up basically every single time. You probably want to max that book up, but we'll see if Setsu changes his mind. I don't think he really needs the mechanism at this point in the game. It's going to be something he wants later on, of course. But right now, I feel like you need a bit more damage. You're a core mid player right now. You definitely need something for your team besides healing.
Thing is as well, like, in terms of that mech, as it stands, Newbee, they have been... I would say they have been aggressive, but it hasn't been much. Like, we're sitting at a score of 6-9 right now. They are ahead by 3 kills, but the net worth is less than 1k. The Morphling remains in front of the net worth graph, we talked about the aggression from Newbee and how they did kind of falter a bit last game. It does feel like they're doing almost the same thing this time around.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's just that they take some aggression early on, and then they back off and decide to just farm up. I mean, at least this time Mugi will have a Battle Fury, so his farm will be a bit better than Monet's in this case, but I don't know. I just feel like when they draft a lineup like this, the Kunkka, the Jug, the Tusk, the Darkseer, the Grimstroke, you definitely expect a few more, a few more pushes, a few more team fights in the map. And every time, in this series at least, Newbee has just taken it slow.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Like you said, at the very least, the Battle Fury is up. Pipe is now also up on JT. So it looks like they are setting up for the late game.
Radiant's middle tower has been denied.
Getting those defensive items on their end of things. RNG, however, seem to be fairly confident in their own ability to take this late with the Morphling. And Monet more than happy to just continue farming up as he has been. And he just reaches that 10k net worth mark. He's going to be going for a BKB straight up next after that Manta Morbid Mask he picked up. Because they've been farming so long, Arfu now has an Aether Lens up as well, and he will just be going straight after that Blink Dagger. In fact, they'll go for a smoke first. Perhaps realizing the game plan after seeing that Battle Fury on the Jug, they go, alright, well let's just go kill him. Flyby also has a Shadow Blade available, but it seems like Newbee are aware of that. He did run past the Sentry Ward, which is very unfortunate for the side of RNG. So the gank will just be unsuccessful.
Yeah, a bit of a shame. I think that would have been a very big pick off again. Just slowing down the Jug. He did just pick up that Battle Fury maybe about a minute earlier, so just making sure he dies then would have been a nice touch. Slow down his farm just a touch. But again, both sides are pretty much happy with just farm trading at this point. I think Monet is not too upset at this, and I think Newbee is fairly happy again being left to just farm up like this. He will have his Mat style up soon, but they will lose their tier 1 up top in exchange for all this farming, Mike.
Certainly so, and they are looking to see if they can find somebody throughout that mid lane, but it's not going to be the case. In fact, it looks like RNG may aggress.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Even they decide to back off for the moment. Setsu, meanwhile, has picked up that full mech and the arcane boots, and again, he is going straight for those Guardian Greaves. But I guess it's still a great item, especially with that low cooldown he's going to have thanks to that bad juju. Setsu just continues farming, more than happy to do so. Of course, we did see the BKB pickup coming out for SCCC. In fact, that was his real first core item that he picked up. Top lane. Bit of a scuttle over the bounty ruins, but it will be a 2-for-2 trade. Do move their way forward, but again, it does look like, well, they are planning some nice wards. No X comes out on the Elder Titan, unfortunately, and
Radiant's
bad
top tower is under attack.
safe for the moment. So it does look like they've started pushing in that top tier 2 tower, and now Newbee want to force the side of RNG into a team fight, it seems. Nice stomp comes out that the snowball shards are there. Arfu, he will take the tag team for himself. Not sure how useful that's going to be on a Rubik. They will get the X off onto that Elder Titan, and Mad should end up falling here, and he does. Mugi will pick up that one, although he cops the Doom, and now the Soulbind comes in from that Grimstroke, so they can't really follow up on that Doom by Flyby. Now they can. It has worn off. SCCC will be the target, though. Nice back war comes out. Now the shards as well to block them all in, and Newbee just clean them all up. Though that's a lot of damage coming in. But nevertheless, it was a pretty nice play from Newbee, I gotta say.
Definitely so. I think Newbee's really strong in these kind of closed-in areas, like this deadly ramp by the Radiant top jungle. It's a really deadly spot for RNG to fight in right now. This area is just, it's rough. When you're on the low ground, it's just really rough. They traded rewards for a bit, but Newbee was adamant in keeping vision advantage here, and that does give him a lot more in the end. That really nice team fight. Although they did have to give away the wall, so Offly does have that option now. It's just they don't really have a way of maximizing that wall. Nothing really to suck him in. No good back or any such. And Newbee just takes Roshan like that. And it is starting to bounce back in Newbee's way here. I feel like Mike, they definitely are getting a bit more out of the map now. And it looks like Mugi is keen to start fighting now, Mike.
Well, we'll see what they can get done. Of course, the Wall of Replica was used in that last team fight, and it did a lot of damage to the side of Newbee. But again, it's like you said, they don't really have a way to pull them into the wall. So it's arguable how useful it is for the Rubik. Bot lane will start being pushed in by the side of Newbee, and again, trying to assert that dominance across the map. This could be the first tier 2 tower of the map that will go down. And RNG, they're not in a position to defend this, so it looks like it will be suddenly Newbee looking a lot stronger. In fact, they're going to keep going down that bot lane for the moment. Perhaps feeling like they can take a tier 3. I mean, they do have all the ultimates up and ready to go. Age is still available as well on Mugi, and I don't blame them for this push. At the very least, force RNG back to try and defend. Stomp. The wall was dropped by the Rubik, in fact. But he does at least get it off before it wears out, and Newbee, they deal the chip damage. They're more than happy with forcing them back, and they just get back themselves. Like Monet actually has the full BKB up. Going to be going for an Eye of Skadi next. Newbee still in a very aggressive position. RNG, will they defend that mid tier 2 tower? Like a lot of hesitation coming out from both ends this time around, rather than just one. And Newbee, yeah, they'll move in. No creeps quite yet, but they are definitely the stronger team as it stands right now. Monet again morphing into that Juggernaut. Throughout the adaptive strike, but won't really get it much done thanks to that Manta dodge. And well, this is a very slow siege to say the least. There's not really much damage coming in from the side of Newbee, but RNG appear to be a bit too afraid to initiate, and they don't really have many ways of doing so, especially since that Aegis is still available on that Jug. E2 again, that backdoor protection kicking in just in time for the side of RNG. Monet does move in. Fair bit of damage being dealt, though the Aegis is still there. BKB is up by Monet. He really wants to go for this. Soulbind will go out from the Grimstroke onto Monet and Fu, though. The Guardian Greaves will get rid of that. And now a nice stomp in the backlines. He's caught 3 of them with that Elder Titan. He goes straight after Faith, and there is... oh my. The Omnislash comes in. The boat was there as well. This is a very messy team fight. Setsu will run away. Snowball will be there, but it doesn't look like Newbee were really ready for that. YG now going to end up losing his own life. And with that, they also end up catching Honka. Nice back wall coming out, but again, the Guardian Greaves keeping them safe. And RNG are continuing to move forward right now. Fu, they won't have a way to cancel this, I don't think. They'll just leave him be, but...
It's...
do I dare say... the key word there is hesitation, John?
Yeah.
Is that the
hesitation.
word? Yeah.
Yeah, just like, yeah, it's the word that we hesitate to say. Hesitation! Yeah, it just felt a bit off for Newbee. Like, that's a beautiful back wall at the end, but just came in just far too late for JT. It just felt like they staggered all their spells a bit too much, to no great effect. It definitely cost them that last team fight, and it's given RNG a second breath of life. I mean, Monet is really scary right now, even with just that BKB. No bigger items beyond that, and Manta style, he's already really scary, Mike. Deals way too much damage, way too hard to kill. You're gonna have to watch out if you're UB right now. Excuse me.
The weirdest thing for me in that engagement, like Mugi backing off while his whole team is there, and he still has the Aegis.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what's going on here.
They're gonna go for another gank attempt here onto Flyby. I mean, they should be able to get to him, surely. But Flyby is running the correct way for the moment, so he is kind of pincered in. In fact, they're going to have a go at JT, but JT does have a lot of help behind him. Setsu is also there. It's a lot of damage, but there's the vac coming in, and now the snowball. It will connect onto Flyby Setsu. He'll go for the Shallow Grave TP play, and the TP coming out of the Doom, but he can't make it out. The Inkswell is there. In fact, they got the X off into the boat as well, onto Setsu. He should just end up falling, but he has another Shallow Grave up in just a moment, and he will commit it immediately. Force Staff is also available. Does commit that, but he will eventually go down. A nice couple pickoffs for the side of Newbee. That may be just what they need to start pushing in that bot tier 3 tower.
It is a very good amount of pickoffs right there. I mean, Doom taking out is pretty good. I don't think RNG expected more heroes to be behind, especially since they did have vision in that jungle area. So maybe a bit too overconfident. Maybe didn't expect the smoke coming out right then and right there. I do feel like RNG still can kind of defend this, although you have to watch out for the back wall. It is back up for JT, at least the wall is back up. The back should be up in a few seconds as well. And if that goes off without a hitch, it's going to be a bit of an issue for RNG.
Well, they're going for a fight right now. The lift is there, as well as the Doom onto SCCC on that Kunkka. And the back, actually, from the Rubik is perfect. And it looks like they will be able to find SCCC. In fact, maybe not. He does make a run for it, and he will be alright for the moment. Now the vac coming out of the dark seer. Monet is in big, big trouble. Guardian Greaves and Shallow Grave just in time, but the Stomp is there onto 3. Boat comes in as well. Monet is so darn tanky right now, but they will take him out eventually. Buyback will come out from Flyby. And buyback is also available on Monet. He does look like he doesn't want to really commit it, but he will in the end. And now they want to punish the side of Newbee, but Newbee, of course, being quite smart about this and will try to back off in time. So Stomp will be there, and YG turning around with the snowball. They're going to try and turn this again. Nice back from the Darkseer. YG, they're actually going to deal a hell of a lot here, but they don't seem to be able to kill anybody quite yet, because again, that Stomp is coming out into the back lines. So much work being done by this Elder Titan, and now Monet comes in. Newbee, they stuck around way too long, John. SCCC ends up going down. Now the rest of them kind of like sitting ducks. Mugi going to try and man fight this one. Omni is not available for a very, very long time. Snowball there by YG. They're going after Mugi. The TP is there, but Monet's found him, and now they found the lift onto the Darkseer, and suddenly 4 heroes are down for the side of Newbee. And man, I mean, Mad was throwing out those stomps like a madman. Not to mention those vacs coming out from Arfu and that Rubik. My goodness. And
Yeah,
just the
really making it
combination,
work.
just the combination
They
of
really are.
Newbee going back in, like, it seems like YG starts off with a snowball, and he always has an ally in that snowball, and it's kind of like Newbee doesn't really want to follow after the snowball as well, so perhaps a bit of miscommunication. But
Yeah, it's definitely a bit weird. I mean, again, it's that hesitation again. It's coming out here again. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with Uni. Maybe it's a problem with their communication, just the way they talk to each other, maybe. But it felt like they had that fight in the bag, especially since they forced Monet to buy back. They just choose to stay around a bit too long. They didn't have the wall anymore. It was expended at that tier 3 in a very awkward spot, mind you. And now they're just going to use a Roche and potentially give a bit too much back to RNG to play with.
yeah, I mean, the net worth is back the way of RNG just slightly, but that's still a big deal considering where it was. Roshan, again, like you said, being taken by RNG, no contention whatsoever by the side of Newbee. They did have Mad there in the tree line just in case anyway. So it was going to be a very hard Roche to try and counter. And now suddenly RNG are the ones in the lead. Like, we haven't seen a tier 3 or a Rax go down yet. And as it stands, like, Mugi is just getting stronger and stronger. Almost at that Eye of Skadi now. Pretty much just needs about 500 gold for that.
Yeah, he's been farming quite well, and you know, once that's up, it's going to be a bit hard to keep up with Morphling. It's already fairly hard to keep up with him. Taking him out is just such a concerted effort, especially with all these shallow graves coming out, with all the heals coming out from Setsu. It's really hard to maintain. Really hard to maintain the burst needed to kill that Morphling off. And I think the one thing that's really securing these kills are Spirit Vessel charges from Wei Si, but you know, he's out of charges right now. He doesn't have that to help him kill off the Morphling next time around, and that might make it near impossible to kill him off.
Well, Monet does take down the tier 2 top tower by himself. Newbee, they go for a smoke, but they might be a bit too late to the party. hoping that the side of RNG have stuck around in their jungle. They kind of have, but they are backing off in time as well, perhaps realizing how many heroes are missing off the map. Afu stops for a moment, but it doesn't matter because Newbee have stopped the chase as well. Now, I've Skadi up on Monet. Looks like he will go straight into that MKB. Now, mind you, we did see a butterfly just come out on Mugi as well. So he's going for the direct counter immediately after that I've Skadi came out. And I suppose in the end, there's not much to worry about in terms of buyback gold right now because he's got it off on cooldown for another 4 minutes.
Yeah, definitely no need to worry, as if he dies within 4 minutes anyway, you know, it's done. Monet is not going to be in that follow-up defense. So he might as well spend a gold, not save until maybe you're about a minute off from buyback, and that's when you should probably start saving up. But this far away, definitely not too big of a deal. Right now, I think the one thing Newbee does need to do is, again, just pull their team fight off a bit better. If they can get a perfect back wall followed up by Kunkka's Torrent Boat, it's pretty much a given that Juggernaut can burst everyone down in that tight of space.
It's like both teams just going to stay away from each other for the moment. RNG, I mean, you can't blame them. Again, Monet, no buyback available. He's just probably going to wait out the time for it, even though it will mean his Aegis probably expires in that time. But Newbee as well, doesn't seem like they really want to fight into that Aegis. I say that, but RNG have smoked up behind Monet, who is seemingly baiting them out. Newbee, though, do show at that bot lane, and immediately RNG start looping around. They find anybody, though. Monet running by himself right now. Newbee will go back to defend that mid tower, and it looks like RNG will not find anyone. It's a weird question where it's like, you don't know which team should be engaging at this point, because it feels like RNG, you know, you'd want to hold back because you don't have the buyback available on your strongest hero, but at the same time on the side of Newbee, you don't know whether you should fight into the Aegis.
Yeah, it's a bit of a awkward spot here for both teams. I think RNG is happy enough to just take these outer towers and pull back. Oh, it doesn't look like they are pulling back, but they are. Looks like this is the high ground push from RNG.
To be fair, Mugi hasn't saved for buyback. He needs 600 gold. I mean, RNG seem to know something's going on, and well, they jump in. Mugi, he'll jump in as well. The spin is there. Perhaps just trying to scare them off, but again, Guardian Greaves and Monet is back to full HP and ready to go. E3 tower, copying a lot of damage from him. He's hitting for about 300 per right click, and it's gone. He's not even going to stop. He's going for the racks now. Newbee, Torrent, Monet won't really get caught by it. He was still spinning. Now, Monet going actually after Mugi, who doesn't have a buyback available. Oh my. 250 gold for buyback. Doesn't have it. Be alright, Mugi. Full Omni Slash around. Monet. BKB up. Will be alright. The Doom. Flyby. Trying to back off. It looks like a good team fight for Newbee at the moment. Monet will waveform out. That Stomp again. And the Earth Spitter coming out from Mad. Work out. Mugi. Back off to safety. And it looks like no lives have been lost today.
Yeah, they do a considerable amount of damage to those racks, but definitely not enough. They expend a buyback from JT. That could be big in the next team fight if they manage to burst JT down before he drops his combination. It's going to be a very rough time for Newbee to go 5v5 against RNG. One man short.
What a win, though, coming out from RNG. Like, they didn't quite take that melee racks, and, I mean, it's going to regen itself probably by the time they go back to it, but the fact that they're pulling ahead, even though they're meant to be on the... Like, they've got a net worth lead, but at the same time, it's kind of like they probably shouldn't be the ones being the aggressors up until this point. Although, buyback is up in 2 seconds now for the Morphling. So, I suppose now they're in an even better position to try and go for that again.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think maybe at this point, RNG is a bit more comfy waiting for that Roshan pop-out. I think both these teams aren't really keen for risk-taking, so I think it's going to be a bit slow until Roshan pops back in, or unless someone overextends just a tad bit. Otherwise, both teams are just pretty happy in trading farm right now. Although I think that, again, Newbee's starting to have issues in killing off Monet. Dazzle just keeps him up for way too long. That Guardian Greave spam is insane, along with the Shallow Grave. It's just kind of wild how long Morphling can stay alive in these fights.
Have a quick look at the net worth graph as well, John. You look at the Dazzle. Look at Setsu's net worth. He's gone past SCCC by 5k. He's got a full Scythe of Vice up now. I mean, it seems like SCCC hasn't had any farm progression for a very, very long time. They've given all of it to pretty much just Mugi, who has pulled ahead on top, but again, if he's not available to buy back, or if he just dies outright, it's going to be very problematic for Newbee, considering all their net worths on one hero. RNG, move in, lift is there by Arfu, onto that Grimstriker, they just want to burst him down, and they do. He is gone. Now in the backlines, Flyby has found the Doom onto the Darkseer, so there's no back wall coming out. SCCC trying to man fight here up against the Morphling. The disarm is nice from him, but Monet's just going to turn around and start hitting him back. The BKB TP out will be successful. Mugi will do the spin TP, and the rest just get the hell out of there immediately, although JT... That boat's not going to connect, is it? No, it's not.
Aww.
Okay. That would have been hilarious to see, but he was just out of range.
Pretty close. They do manage to get one kill from that at the very least, but they did have to expend Doom for that, so maybe not going to see that in the next team fight. Maybe RNG chills out for about a minute 40, and then we see them go back in. Roche will be up in 2 minutes, so nowhere near soon enough for RNG, who... I feel like they do really want that Roche up before they really go all in these fights, because that just felt a bit more reserved, that last run. And Newbee as well wasn't really keen on forcing the issue after losing the Grimstroke straight up. Just, again, both teams playing a bit safe here, not really wanting to give too much, although there is a smoke out from Newbee.
Yeah. Well, they found a very nice rune. Mugi, he managed to bottle up a DD. The double damage is available on your Jug now. As well as that, he just picked up a Nullifier for himself. Trying to go for that surprise factor. Though it does seem like RNG are just across the other side of the map right now. As well as that, I mean, Setsu, he shows himself bot, but he goes immediately for that TP, and RNG, again, just seem to be aware that there's a smoke going on. They just stick together on that high ground where they have that slight advantage. And Newbee find absolutely nothing. In fact, RNG may go for an attempt themselves if they can find a nice stomp from that Elder Titan. Spirit scouting them out. Again, this big stalemate between both teams. They're just holding out. A lot to be lost by either team if they lose this game. And just so much pressure. They do smoke up. The Roshan not there for another 40 seconds. They are going to hold the Roche pit, it seems. They do jump in straight after the Rubik. Arfu in big trouble, and now the Soulbind. It's a lot of damage coming up with the Shallow Grave onto the Morphling, keeping him alive throughout all this. He does end up falling though, Monet. He will buy back immediately, but they've lost Flyby as well. Will he buy back on the Doom? Yes, he will, and now they'll go for the team fight. They go straight onto that Darkseer. Can they kill him off? In fact, no, it's the Kunkka. Snowball will be there from YG, but he's going to roll back into the enemy. JT now here as well. The Doom being used on the Juggernaut, so Mugi cannot do anything through that Doom. No items, no skills, and no life really. He's about to go down, and he does. Faith now will be the target of Setsu, and it looks like he should just be able to find him fairly easily. Flyby would continue the chase, however the snowball was going on, and it looks like that may just be it. Flyby does end up finishing him off, and they found another NYG. It looked so good for Newbee. They did manage to force out 2 buybacks on the side of RNG, which were quite important. But now they're going to lose a Roshan.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very big loss indeed. Sure, you expended a buyback on Morphling, but it's not like you have buyback just yet on Monet. Although by the time he respawns, you should have that. It's just about 90 gold away. That option will be there for their high ground defense. But again, that wall's not there. It's going to be up when the defense comes around, so they do have the tools to hold their high ground, but again, giving Monet a second life once more. I mean, granted, he does need this to do anything now because he doesn't have buyback, but
They get the courier as well.
Radiant structures
Why the hell not?
A bit cheeky, scouting out with the courier, but against something like a Morphling, it can get chased down quite fast.
Refresher Shard is given to Flyby as well, so now you have that double Doom available. They won't bother with the bot lane quite yet. They will go for the tier 3 mid tower. Of course, Moogie is just 10 seconds away from respawning, although they're going to lose the Grimstroke immediately. Faith, he'll have to buy back. RNG, they will probably back off here, just happy with that buyback. And it looks like that will be the case, although there was a very nice stomp again out from that Elder Titan. But they've got a tier 2 top tower to defend.
is under attack.
Well, I say that, but it's pretty much gone thanks to those siege creeps. And looks like Raw will never give up.
Tower has fallen.
Let's go back to farming for the moment.
They did go for that bot shrine. Pretty nice point to take out if you're going to want to push around that mid and bot area. That TP spot to sneak behind is gone. So it just makes the defense a bit harder for Newbee to pull off as well. You know, I'm curious to see if RNG does make use of this Aegis a bit better than the last one they had. The last one they had did end up just expiring right at that tier 3 push down bot. Maybe this time around it's going to stay up long enough to make an impact. Who knows?
Ane now has a Satanic up on himself. But, I mean, apart from having that Aegis, like, currently 7 slotted. This is going to be a tough ask. What's Moogie getting for himself? Like, he's still got that Nullifier, and it looks like he is actually going to go for that Lincoln Sphere next. Trying to block out that Doom. Fair enough. So you do have double Doom available on the side of RNG for the moment anyway, and they will go for the top shrine while they're in the enemy jungle. Again, there'll be no attempt at defense from the side of Newbee. They'll just sit back and, I mean, I guess they're trying to just be patient and strategize on how they're going to take the next team fight.
Yeah, again, both teams are pretty much, you know, just based on the series so far, really keen on taking their time. Never in a rush, just getting the pace of things. I mean, look, Monet has that Aegis, not in a rush to really make use of it, just farming up right now. He does have his Satanic up as well. And just keen enough on farming. Probably going to grab these runes. DD on Morph. Looking for about 600 damage per right click, Mike. I'm sure that's a number that makes you very happy.
Oh, it's quite a big number.
It's just nothing's going to happen with that number, I don't think.
Or is it? Monet is moving forward in that mid lane. He could probably just sneak in that tier 3 tower. Does have a Satanic. Thinking about it. BKB is at 5 seconds now, but he just takes it, and is he actually going to go for a Rax by himself? Nice Lotus Orb coming out. Moogie, he will spin up. Monet will also spin up, and he is literally just going to take the Rax in front of them. They will disarm him up. Again, Lotus Orb making SCCC suffer the same consequence, although Monet continuing. He still holds that Aegis, and the Rax not quite there yet. Monet just returns, and he will take it. First melee Rax of the game. They will actually go for a secondary one at the bot lane. And Monet apparently has absolutely no fear. He may have to fear Moogie, who jumps in, although there is a lift coming out from Arfu immediately, and the Shallow Grave just in case. And at this stage, RNG continuing to apply the pressure. They're not satisfied quite yet. Wei Shi jumps in. Walrus Punch is there, and it's a fair bit of damage. Moogie as well jumps in again. Monet thinking you better back off now, and he does lose the Aegis. Satanic still available, as well as the BKB. Flyby, however, he gets the Doom off on the Jug, regardless of whether there's a Lincoln's or not. In fact, there isn't anyway. Omni Slash comes out as well. Flyby is still okay throughout all that, and now another Doom comes out. Who is he actually caught with it? It looks like it actually was Moogie, and they have caught JT as well, who runs off. 2 buybacks being made, one by the Tusk, one by SCCC, and now the Jug being hexed up again. Moogie out of position, and looks like he's going to die back. That's a big loss for the side of Newbee. SCCC trying to fight by himself, but he's got hardly any net worth in comparison. I don't really know what he can do here. Like, he doesn't hit very hard. He gets stomped up. He's falling very, very low. Meanwhile, Monet finds JT. I think this is RNG's game, John. Newbee, they're trying to really defend this as long as they can. They do buy back on everybody, but if they die back on SCCC, it's not going to look too pretty. The fountain diving is possible at this point, by the way. I mean, they're pretty darn close to it. They won't risk it, but again, they'll go straight for the tier 4 towers. They don't like to waste time on the side of RNG. X Torrent is there, but it's dodged by the Yules. And Setsu, I don't see them defending this. I mean, they even get SCCC again, and just a fantastic play from Mad. Now JT trying to delay this as best he can. Flyby eats the cheese. They can't even kill the Doom off. Now they lose the Darkseer, and Faith calls it. He's had enough, and it's GG well played. RNG 2-0 Newbee in the losers bracket.
I mean, that was just absolutely great play coming out from RNG. I mean, that Dazzle would put all those Lotus Orb plays in that siege. Just bought so much for Monet. It just did so much for RNG's high ground push. I definitely give the MVP down to Setsu. This entire series, I think, his Rubik was also quite exceptional, but I think the Dazzle in this game really gave them a lot. You could make an argument for Mad as well. I think both of these guys really carried RNG in this game and really gave them all these opportunities to get what they needed. So props to RNG. They do make it further up in the losers brackets round for the close qualifiers of DreamLeague Season 11. And unfortunately, that does mean that's the end of Newbee's journey here, Mike.
It's a really weird feeling, isn't it, John? Like, you're used to sit, like, back a couple years ago, maybe less than that, you used to see Newbee pretty much at every single event. Minors and majors just doing their thing, making some pretty good placements, coming first at some stages. And I mean, it's such a bittersweet feeling for us because you love to see these newer teams go forward in these close qualifiers, but at the same time, I mean, this is Newbee we're talking about. I mean, they were runner-ups for TI. I mean, it just feels really strange, but nevertheless, John, congratulations to RNG. Great news for them. They're going to move on. It's definitely not going to be easy, but there's a lot of potential from this team, it seems.
Yeah, it does seem like that. I mean, their drafts have just been so interesting, but yeah, we'll see how they do further up, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if their matchup is there. It is there. It is there, apparently. RNG against Vici, it looks like.
Oh, it changed. Okay. I thought it was going to be Vici Gaming up against Keen Gaming, but apparently it seems to have switched over. Or maybe it hasn't, and I was just blind. But nevertheless, John, we will be casting that game in just a few minutes. So Vici Gaming vs RNG coming up very, very soon. It is MLPdota and johnxfire joining you. We hope you're all enjoying your night or day, depending on where you are in the world. Won't be too long, guys.